place in those days. Then you also have Kerala, not by the sword as the North Indians chip on the shoulders to deal with Kerala. I was going to trade with us for 1,000 years before the Prophet. They come with the winds of freedom across Arabian Sea, settle in Kerala. Never knew when we trade with them, when the winds change, they would go back, and this continued literally for centuries. And so people we were familiar with, we were used to seeing them, brought the news of Islam as news. And one of our kings, Jalaman Barulal, was so fascinated to hear about this prophet that he organized a flotilla to sail off the Arabian Peninsula to meet the prophet. And most of the ships didn't make it. They got stranded in Maldives or Lakshadweep or wherever. But he emptied ship. And one of the visual evidences of his visit is the fact that even today, south of Sahara in Oman, there are K1 trees growing there which are not native to the Arab Peninsula. Now, the result of all of this was that people basically learned to live together. And when, for example, the Muslim community first, sometime around 700 AD, 712 or so, about the same time that Muhammad bin Qasim was attacking Sindh, in Kerala, enough that they needed a place to pray, they went to the Zamorin, and the Zamorin said, fine, there's a disused temple, you can have it. And to this day, the oldest mosque outside the Arab world is in Kodungalur in Kerala. It's gone through multiple renovations, so obviously it doesn't look like whatever it did way back in 700 AD, but there's still a gigantic traditional Kerala lamp at the entrance to the temple. Now, this is the way in which to be to the mosque, and this is the way in which communities have lived together for a very long time in Kerala. And I believe that's the area that I particularly wouldn't want to compromise on. So what are the principles? Very simply coexistence. And the logic I've often said to my BJP friends, I don't understand why you would demonize and alienate and offend 200 million people in our country. Because even whatever you may feel or whatever your justifications may be, it's also unwise. Because all you need is 1% of them to feel that they have no stake in this society anymore because they're being made to feel so completely as outsiders or as others. Just 1%, and your country becomes ungovernable. Do you really want to do this? It's foolish. It's far better to embrace than to alienate. Far better to unite than to divide. And that is a principle on which I don't see any room for compromise.
A very good morning to all of you. And on this philosophical positioning of Shashiji, there is nothing for us to disagree at all. And this, in fact, has been the inherent cultural, civilizational strength of this country. The examples that you gave historically has always demonstrated the fundamental civilizational spirit of what we call Hindu Dharma. And the political disagreement comes when the state starts addressing or approaching certain sections not as individuals, but starts offering special treatment on the basis of a particular community's religion. And that is what the Constitution also abhors. Now, there was a recent scheme announced by the Karnataka government which wanted to fund development of particular areas and assigned a particular budget for minority colonies. Now, that makes us ask this very fundamental question as to what is this concept of minority colonies? Now, if the country got divided on the basis of religion in 1947, and post that we decided there should not be any discrimination on the basis of majority and minority, then what on earth is Minority Colony Development Fund? Isn't this the state actively promoting ghettoization? Isn't the state sponsoring alienation of a particular community on the basis of religion? This is what the Bharatiya Janata Party and this is what secularists in the true sense or the constitutionalists in the true sense oppose. If you put some kind of an opposition to these kind of policies, then the nature of the political conversation in India has unfortunately gotten so perverse that those who oppose this and ask for constitutional equality are branded as communal. Now, this is where we are having a fundamental problem. So, Which is why I want to reiterate, Shashiji, that at the philosophical level, at the philosophical level, there is absolutely nothing to oppose, because what you said has been the position of Vivekananda, and that is the position of the Bharatiya Janata Party. And it took enormous amount of effort for the last 12 years to re-establish in the birthplace of Swami Vivekananda his own principles. And after the Bengal election results, finally we are seeing the resurgence of the same fundamental principle. I want to add just one point. The Constitution of India, with the exception of certain social and economic discrimination for certain communities, which is again on the basis of economic and social backwardness, does not constitutionally allow for religion-based segregation. Now, when a former Prime Minister said that the first right on the country's resources will be by a certain community because of the religion, then that is a fundamental problem and that is unconstitutional. All we are asking is treat all Indian citizens as individuals and do not treat them on the basis of community groupings.
I think I have to clarify that because I actually know that former Prime Minister and he's a wonderful man. The point he was making was that this particular man is disproportionate. If you look at all the other communities in India, we broadly have the same amount, same percentage of affluent people, middle class people, poor people, etc. Education similarly, and so on. The Muslim community in India, partially as a legacy of partition when a lot of the middle class and the affluent left for Pakistan, is disproportionately poor, disproportionately undereducated, disproportionately inadequately represented. So you've got a situation where you have a Muslim population in many parts of India, particularly North India. This is not less true in our part of the country, but in Northern India, it is genuinely true that there are many places where, in terms of their population, are poorer, more illiterate, more, shall we say, overrepresented in the prisons and underrepresented in the services, the police, the administration, and so on. So, giving some support. Let me give you an example. Like from the British. The British had the same problem with a lot of the migrants on the subcontinent, the later vintage of migrants, not the professional classes from the subcontinent. And so they specifically started courses offering, and this is because of the underrepresentation of South Asians in the British police, they started offering specific training courses only for minorities in London, so that these minorities could qualify to join.
I absolutely agree. The one question that needs to be asked is, who was ruling for 65 years? The same secular champions. And it was because of these secular champions, it is a report card of your own governance. And you came to power on the claim that you represent or want to give special preference to this very section. So I think at the constitutional level, at the Hindu philosophical level, I'm in absolute agreement with you. In the premise of its practice at the political level, how it has been practiced, at that dimension, we have a fundamental disagreement, and our position is what the founding makers of the Constitution of India have. Thank you.
Annamalai, would love to hear your thoughts, and also please do comment on Tamil Nadu politics because we have a lot of people in our comments who really want to hear about it.
I think we all know the great Shashi Tharoor is a very erudite politician, no doubt about that. He is trying to manufacture controversy in Stanford, adding to the confusion that is happening in Kerala Congress for the Chief Minister's election. What happened in 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s, and that is a manifestation that happened in 2000, be it the job and be it anything. And now putting all the blame on the BJP government, which came to power much later in all the North Indian states and different parts of our country, is unfair in my personal opinion. If you ask me, the southern states, which Congress claims is a different part of our country, and every time Congress wins one state in the southern part of our country, one Congress MP will immediately tweet South is different. Tamil Nadu is different. Kerala is different. Telangana is different. Andhra is different. And this is for all the Congress MPs who, Shashi Tharoor is also very close friend to many of those MPs, those belong to Tamil Nadu. They have to understand. Congress till now in Tamil Nadu, which was parroting the DMK's language for the last many, many years, one night they changed to Vijay. One night, overnight they changed. And even chameleon will not change the colors that fast. 24 hours they change the colors. And now they want to sit separate from DMK. That clearly shows Congress neither takes a position. It always piggybacks on a party which is in power, a regional party. It adapts to the regional party's tune. It speaks their language. And nobody here disputes the fact India is one country. Nobody here disputes the fact that we want to divide people on religion. Nobody disputes it. And especially in Kerala, if you look at it, is also equally happy after 10 years they have come back to power now. And what were they doing for 10 years? What were they doing for 10 years? When Shashi Tharoor ji opposes SIR, when he thinks SIR is a mechanism invented by the BJP party through the Election Commission of India to disenfranchise some more person. Is there one person in our country, one person in the country, as he said in the last 6 months, I'm a genuine voter, somebody has taken away my vote.
34 lakh people have been in Bengal alone.
Tamil Nadu, 97 lakh people, Tamil Nadu. Has one person come out and said that they have taken a genuine vote out? And they keep going after one person in tribunal that happens in West Bengal with not even a proper document, bring them to the national media, keep talking again and again about SIR. That is the unfortunate part. India's moved, but Congress unfortunately was stuck in 1960. India's moved on. A new generation wants a very positive set of politics, development of a politics. We all respect Shashi Tharoor ji, a kind of erudite person, well-learned person, a person who served in United Nations, a person who has always kept India's pride and prestige very high. But when he also starts to speak the Congress party's language, that is where we always have a problem.
And now, just on the record of the SIR, what I have said is legitimate questions to answer. Look at the Bengal case. 91 lakh names were struck off the rolls. Of those, 34 lakh living human beings are saying that they are around and they are legitimately entitled to vote. The rules have required each case to be adjudicated individually. So only a few hundred were adjudicated before the vote. To this day, there are some 31, 32 lakh people who might be found to have been legitimate voters. The adjudication carries on, but they have missed their chance to vote. And the BJP won Bengal by a margin of 30 lakh votes. Now you tell me, is that entirely fair and democratic? This is the question that I ask. It's honestly, I have no problem with deleting spurious, deleted, absent, migrated voters. And particularly in Kerala, I suspect the Congress benefited from the deletions because the CPM was long a past master of double enrollment, triple enrollment, quadruple enrollment, the same people in 4 different booths and so on. That used to happen. And so they were eliminated by the SIR. And as you said, in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, there were very few appeals. But in Bengal, there is no doubt there were 34 lakh appeals. And that's 34 lakh forms filled by 34 lakh individuals. And of that, only a few hundred have been heard. So you might find a situation a couple of years from now that it turns out that most of these people are found to be genuine, and unfortunately, they've missed their opportunity to vote, and there's been a profound transformation as a result of that demographic change or that electoral roll change. That's the question. I'm not disagreeing with much of what you and Tejasvi have said, though I will disagree about some things when Tejasvi scores the political point about 65 years the Congress was in power. When Dr. Manmohan Singh made the statement you objected to, he was saying precisely because we haven't tried any sort of affirmative action of this nature for the minorities, they're still stuck in this kind of ghetto, and therefore we need some program to try and push them up. That's what he was saying. You're right, he got shouted down, and certainly particularly vociferous on the subject. And I will say, with the greatest regard for
Something, it is my duty to clarify on the SAR part in Bengal because I was in charge of the party for about 6-7 states for the SAR process. So we should put it on record so that people should know, not give this credit. And Bengal is a very peculiar case compared to the rest of the India. Kerala, no issues. Tamil Nadu, no issues. Lakshadweep, no issues. Uttar Pradesh, no issues. Madhya Pradesh, no issues. Chhattisgarh, no issues. All the 12 states that happened in the phase 2 of the SIR. Now why Bengal? Bengal is a very special case. Over the last 10-15 years, if you look at the Form 6, which is a way for a voter to get added, a rampant distribution of Form 6. The Trinamool Congress government, anybody can just walk in, generate an Aadhaar card, using an Aadhaar card, generate a ration card, submit a Form 6 that gets documented somewhere into the government system. When the SAR happens 10 years later, you claim that it is already documented 8 years before because somebody has given you a fake Form 6 and some that has taken and put it on the system. Now that is why for Bengal, the Supreme Court has said there is a special clause. The special clause is a logical clause. If you claim your age is 24, 20 years later, what was your age? Please prove your parent was here, your grandparents were here. So let us not confuse all those things. So Bengal is a Supreme Court monitored SIR process. Adequate number of time is given. Let Shashi Tharoor is free to have his own opinion, but we believe it was a very fair process done by the Election Commission of India. But coming to the Tamil Nadu part, which you asked in the first instant, which I failed to answer, Tamil Nadu is a black swan event. It happens, and it's a good thing that happened. And just like the startups here, and a rupturing of the system has to happen at some point of time. The system got overloaded too much, and national parties were also not very bold to go beyond India's and take the bull by its horn. And they had this kind of a reputation to go on. And the weight was too much at the top, and Dravidian political parties and language model and national parties were also afraid this is the way to go because you want to deviate from the norm. The regional parties, the so-called partners, they thought you were taking the wrong route. And I believe it's a good thing that happened for Tamil Nadu, a rupturing that happened, a black swan event. Now we are there to go and clear it in the next 5-10 years. We will do the clearance. So that is not a big thing, and I always welcome it. I am very clear from day one. And a person who has done 9 political meetings and a person who's a superstar, on top of it promising 2,500 rupees per vote, on top of it promising 1 sovereign gold, on top of it promising 1 gold, 1 silk saree, on top of it promising agriculture loan waiver, on top of it promising everything. And,
I'd like actually we
so it's a good thing that happened, but whether it's a right thing that happened, so that only 5 years later we will say, but it is important. Very matured, established political parties, they can go inside and do the clearance. 5 years from now, what is going to happen in Tamil Nadu?
actually yes, I'd like to ask all three of you to comment on the politics.
On the SIR, I just have one more point to add. All the 5 states that went to elections had this SIR exercise. And by the very own admission of the Congress party, with the exception of Bengal, there was no large-scale appeals of the nature that we faced in West Bengal. Now, why did this happen in West Bengal? There has been a concerted effort over the last couple of decades to actually create and foster vote banks by including those who are not citizens of India to become part of the country's electoral rolls. I was in West Bengal for almost 2 weeks campaigning in the border areas. There is an engineered attempt at actually creating nurturing vote banks. And if the argument of the opposition is that citizens of a different country must also be eligible to vote in India, then we will oppose that tooth and nail. The constitution does not permit for this, the BJP will not permit for that. Therefore, the exercise had to be conducted. And this is not the first time that SIR was conducted. The Congress party has conducted SIR multiple times earlier. But if the Congress does it, the SIR is fine. If the BJP does it, the SIR is not fine. This is the problem.
I'd like to switch gears a little bit. I know this debate we could probably take on for another 3 hours, and I know everyone's really enjoying it. But I want to switch to something the three of you actually are in agreement about. So that's the question of urban governance. So Tejasvi ji, you've spoken a lot about your plan for Bengaluru's in terms of waste management and improving infrastructure. Annamalai ji, you've spoken a lot about the management of flooding specifically in Tamil Nadu and some of the policies you disagree with on that track. And Shashi Tharoor ji, you've spoken a lot about air quality in India, and I'm sure that's a concern for many, young citizens who are here who want to go back to India and work for the country. So in that order, I'd like to ask you all, what if, let's say, this is a safe space, what would be the one thing you would do, minus any, if you could wave a wand and do one thing that you think would improve urban governance in India and solve some of these infrastructural challenges, what do you think would be your top? I'll start with the SPGs and then.
Yeah. Well, in the keynote, Arvind Panigaria ji made a mention about how urbanization can actually unlock a great economic potential for India. And I think in the coming decades, India needs to make concerted effort at not only a series of big bang urban municipal reforms, but also really building world-class cities. Now, I'll give you an example. I was in Tokyo a couple of months ago to study the public transportation, and we had a conversation with the mayor of Osaka. Now, there was a suggestion that came that Bengaluru and Osaka must come up with a sister city agreement. The consequential question was, now who should the mayor of Osaka talk to in Bangalore?
Very good point.
Now, this will come as a surprise to many, of course, not for the Bengalurians sitting here. The last 7 years, we don't have a functional corporation in Bengaluru. We don't have a mayor in Bengaluru. In the last 6 years. And this is not the case with just Bengaluru. This is a case with many, many urban municipalities and because the 73rd, 74th amendment that was carried out to the Indian Constitution, empowering our municipal and urban local bodies, did not truly, in the true sense of the Constitution or the spirit, empower financially, politically our urban local bodies. I remember Shashiji had also piloted a private member's bill in the parliament to actually strengthen the electoral and political and financial empowerment of the urban local bodies. I think that is a fundamental problem. Bengaluru, a city of 1.5 crore people, in the last 7 years has been administered by 2 bureaucrats. Now, that is a fundamental problem. Second, I think flowing from that, we need to address a lot of urban municipal governance issues, because unless you have an effective city government which is elected by the people and accountable to the people and has its financial and political empowerment in the right sense, they will not be empowered to actually create outcomes, whether it is pure get a better water, better air quality, none of this can be done. And there is, even when there is governance, decentralization that happens, most of otherwise municipal functions, in which in many other countries are with the municipality, are mostly with the state governments in the country. So unless that evolution further happens